Hi friends, if you're also wondering that what are AI agents and how can you develop or how can you use your own AI agents, then this video is something which you should not miss. My name is Maruti Makwana and I'm back with your new dose of AI learning with Microsoft Azure Cloud. Today we are going to focus on Azure AI Agents, and this is basically a part of a separate course in which we are going to focus on the future of automation. Well, starting from what exactly is AI, what exactly generative AI, and then how exactly we can develop AI agent is what we are going to focus in this course. Just for your kind of information, on our YouTube channel, we have so many videos on Azure AI Foundry, Azure Generative AI, as well as other parts of machine learning kind of concepts. In this particular series, we are going to focus on agentic AI systems, agentic AI design patterns, and developing and designing Azure AI agents. And that's what we're going to do. This is the first video, so I just want you to understand what are Azure AI agents and how they are going to be useful to you. So let's get started with this. As per this year, 2025, when you talk about AI, there are multiple flavors of AI which are available. You have something which is called generative AI, which is basically allowing you to generate original content in a form of natural language text, images, videos, and even programming language code. You have second thing, which is actually natural language processing, NLP. That is basically used in most of the generalized chatbots where we can put some kind of a questions and my chatbot was able to answer that question. Then you have something called computer vision. Computer vision is something which is allowing you to take a visual input and based on that is actually going to give you an analysis, maybe a video analysis or image analysis kind of thing. So input will be in a form of visual and output is going to be in a form of text. And then we have something which is information extraction. If you have heard about services like document intelligence and all, that allows you to extract information from your digital as well as physical documents using technologies like OCR, optical character recognition. But today we are not going to talk about these 4 or 5 things. We are going to talk about only one thing, which is agents and automation, because this is something which is the newest player in this technology. Obviously, below all 5 things, we have one important thing, which is machine learning. I strongly recommend, if you do not know what is machine learning and how exactly machine learning works, I recommend you to check out this video which we have made it available to you on our YouTube channel. Understand what is machine learning, because no matter which part of AI you're going to use or you're going to learn, you need to know the basics of machine learning for sure. And that's going to make your concepts crystal clear. Now let's start with today's focus. Today's focus is on agents and automation. So first of all, let me start with this, that what exactly is AI agent and how it is different than normal chatbots. What are kind of things is this is going to do differently than generative AI applications. So many words are there and so many terms are there. And that's the reason we need to understand the term which is agent first. Let's start with that. When we talk about AI agent, the definition says that an agent is nothing but an LLM based application, and this is something which is a semi-autonomous software entity. Now remember, LLM is a large language model. We discussed this thing in our couple of videos and I told you that we have more than 11,000 plus large language models which are available in Azure AI Foundry portal. So in the model catalog, we have 11,000 plus large language models which are available. We can choose from that. Now obviously all are not LLMs. There are few which are small language model also. And if you want to know more details about LLM and SLM, you can just comment out in this particular video and I will make sure that I'll give you a separate detailed video on that. I'm assuming you know what is LLM, and as we continue with the definition, an agent in LLM based application is a semi-autonomous software entity which is leveraging a large language model to perform specific tasks through natural language interaction. Basically, same like any generative AI application, this is also going to take input in the natural language text, because in the background you are having a same kind of a large language model which is working. But then how this is different? Well, there are 3 points which I want to highlight in this particular slide. First one is, agents are actually capable of creating a plan. We are going to see certain design patterns while developing agents in this particular course, and when we do that thing, remember, creating a plan is one of the associations with planning pattern. Now, agents are actually capable to create a step-by-step plan specific execution, and it can do this thing. Second, it can actually focus on context. You can retrieve a context, you can configure a context, you can also provide your own configurational documents which can build a context for the agent. So every agent is going to know on what context they are actually going to perform certain tasks. And that's where we have a third point, which is perform an action. Agents can perform an action on behalf of you. There are so many examples of actions which we are going to see, but let's say, for example, you are focusing on travel agent right now, which is basically going to focus on the context of planning an itinerary for you. But then it's not only going to plan an itinerary, it can actually book a flight ticket for you, it can book a hotel for you, and once the itinerary is ready, it can send an email to you also. That's what an agent can do. So when we are talking about agent, we have to focus on a plan-based agent, which is going to take step-by-step sequential execution with the proper planning, or maybe sometimes parallel executions also. It can focus on the context, it can retrieve a context from the user or a specific source which we are providing, and then it can take actions, it can perform actions based on yourself. That's what an agent is capable to do. Now, because this is a very common question which people ask, that how an agent is different than a normal chatbot application. Well, if you see this architectural diagram here, a chatbot application, we're mostly focusing on users' questions. So user is going to ask a question like this, like maybe I'm asking a question, how many vacation days does a new employee receive? When I ask a question, chatbot is always going to be connected with some kind of a knowledge base in the background. Basically, this knowledge base is nothing but multiple questions and answer pads. Now, there are chances you're going to have some alternate questions also, so that you can understand and associate with the particular intent of the user. But then ultimately, chatbot is going to check in the knowledge base and is going to give you answer from that. In this scenario, chatbot works fine, it gives you answer, but there are so many limitations which are there. Like, a knowledge is limited to connected data source. So if there are questions which are out of the scope of that knowledge base, that won't work. Chatbots are unable to perform any actions like agents, and limited scope in the response, so it's actually very limitedly focusing on those questions and answers pair only. Better than that is actually a generative AI application. In generative AI application, you can ask a question, and instead of using a knowledge base, it's actually going to use a large language model. This time when you ask a question, it's going to give you a much better answer. But remember, there is one concept which we have focused very much in our videos, which is known as RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. This particular topic, RAG, is actually going to help you to associate your own data context with your large language model. Basically, it's going to be associating your own data with your LLM. But generative AI applications without RAG, we're also having a couple of limitations, and that's why we got RAG. So basically, without RAG, responses are not grounded in relevant data to the user. It's maybe going to give you more generalized and vague information in that. Response are limited to the training data of the model, obviously, and then higher probability for model to fabricate answer. There is a concept which is actually known as AI hallucination. Now, if you are interested in this kind of a topic and you want to know more in depth, you can just comment down this thing and just put AI hallucination in the comment, and I'm going to create a separate video for you. But without RAG, without a proper context, there are chances that your AI agents or even generative AI applications can actually hallucinate. And there are ways to control that also. After this, we got something which is actually a generative AI application with RAG. Now, with RAG is basically going to add your own data into your generative AI application. In this kind of scenario, we actually use services like Azure AI Search or any AI search service. This AI search service is going to help you to search through your own knowledge base. Remember, in this case, this knowledge base is very different than the first knowledge base which I have shown you with the chatbot. This is basically helping you to associate with the live data also. So you can search with the vector, you can search with multiple keywords, or maybe you can associate with real-time engines like Bing Search, SharePoint, or Microsoft Fabric. You can associate this kind of data, which is basically your own data, as I quoted. You can associate your own data with large language model, and that is going to give you response with that. Well, this is also having a couple of limitations with that. It provides relevant responses for users, but model is limited to data sources only. Still, it's not going beyond that. It works well for information retrieval scenarios, but not for the action-based one. And then the questions outside the plan scope may not be effectively answered. There are chances that your generative AI application is going to say that I don't know anything about this particular thing because it's out of the scope of my knowledge base. Possible. So with all these steps, actually, we have improvised step by step. And basically, we are trying to make things better. Well, if you ask me, why should we know all these historical things? Well, whenever we develop any application, we develop like this. We never have a perfect application in the first case. We always create something, then we improvise. Then even we make it better. That's what which is always there. And that's where the next piece is here. This is something which is a generative AI application with agents. And this is what we are going to develop and learn throughout the series. Now, if you see right now, this is a generative AI application with agent, where basically left side, you still have a user who's going to provide an input prompt in the natural language text. You are going to have an agent who's communicating with that particular user. And at this time, agent is in the background connected with two different things. You have something which is actually known as knowledge sources, or I'll be showing you this thing very soon, that this is something which is known as knowledge tools. Well, this is also something which is using a design pattern called tool use design pattern. If you are interested in tool use design pattern, just comment down that also in the chat box, and I'm going to have a dedicated video for you on tool use design pattern. But yes, this is basically having two different kind of things here. Knowledge sources, which is basically going to provide a context in the data, and action tools, which is basically going to associate with pre-built or customized action logic, which you can integrate with your agent. So when I was talking about agents can perform tasks for you, like it can book an hotel or it can send an email, well, basically at that time, you're going to use action tools. And when I was talking about the context, well, that is something which is taken care by knowledge tools, where you can provide a context, the grounding data associations with this. In this case, you are getting a benefits of agent, like agent can perform complex tasks for you because it can plan also. Agents plan out actions based on user input dynamically. And then agents use knowledge base, define business process, and tools which are connected with that. So all those loopholes and the issues which were there in the previous things is not there in the agents. Not only that, initially in the series, we are going to focus on one single agent which can actually help us to design a proper system. But then, obviously, one single agent doing many things is not a good idea. I think you'll be agree with me that if you're a developer, you know that monolithic applications are not good. You always have to divide things into parts, and you have to design it in a such a way that every piece is going to be focusing on one purpose. I think that's what I heard somewhere in microservice architecture. Agents are also somehow very similar to that from the architectural point of view. Not same, but similar. And that's where, when we understand how we can develop one single agent, we will focus on this part, which is also going to be part of the series, where we are going to talk about a generative AI application with multiple agents. Guys, I'm super excited about this particular series. And if you are also equally excited, this is a time you can just smash the like button for this video so that this video can get boost. And do not forget to subscribe to our channel. This is really going to help us in growing. If you want the similar kind of a content which is going to be delivered to you on the frequent basis, please subscribe to our channel. Now, this is a slide which is very, very, very important slide, because in this we are focusing on a generative AI application with multiple agents. As you can see here in the slide, left side we still have user, right side we have knowledge source and action tools kind of tools, and then we have three different agents. Maybe there is one agent which is focusing on data specific things, is going to check some kind of data from a user's database or an API. Maybe we have an HR agent which is focusing on specific HR related tasks and connected to the HR system documents and data which is grounded associated with that. And then maybe we have a booking agent which is maybe going to call a booking API, or maybe it's going to call some third party API to book my flights or to book my reservations in the hotel. Now, all this kind of multi-agent systems is what we have to design. And stay tuned, guys. When you want to design for a multi-agent kind of a scenario, you have to understand few more design patterns. Yes, this series of videos are going to be perfect if you are willing to develop AI agents for you. And that's what we are going to do. What are the benefits we are getting because of multi-agents? First, agents perform only specific assigned tasks. So if I pick one agent and if I say what this agent is going to do? The answer of that thing is going to be always one single thing. Second, agents are not overloaded with complex prompts. No, never. Because overloaded of complex prompt is going to create a problem or confusion in the agent's task. Then it won't be able to plan it properly. Agents only have access to specific tools and data it needs to complete this assigned task. So every agent is going to be focusing on one particular task. If you try to visualize this thing, this is very similar to how we work in the organization. We always have every employee focusing on one particular task based on his or her role. And same way, in this case also, every agent is going to be focusing on one specific task. And that's how multi-agent systems are going to be designed. But as I said, this is a long journey to go. So we will see this thing step by step and we'll focus on that very soon with this. Let's start with what are AI agents. Now I have shown you the definition. I have shown you the historical changes which happen actually. It's basically the evolution of our AI applications. But now because we are interested in AI agents, let's start with this, that what are AI agents? First, simple definition says that these are smart software services that combine three things: generative AI models, your small language model or your large language models, with contextual knowledge, which you're going to provide through your knowledge base or knowledge sources, and the tools to automate tasks. Combination of these three things is equals to your agent. For example, just to understand this today, I'm showing you one example of an expense agent. This is an expense agent who's actually going to do multiple things. First, as you can see in this diagram, step number one is user is going to ask a question to the expense agent and is going to question about expenses. Now, because this is an expense agent, this agent is actually going to take care of the expense claim, whatever users are going to be submitting to that. The second step is the expense agent is going to accept the question as a prompt. Same like every chatbot. Whatever input text you're providing is a prompt, so it's going to take that. Third, the agent uses knowledge of expense policy information to ground the prompt. So let's say you have uploaded some kind of a documented policy, which is followed by the organization rules and the expense limit and everything like that. When this is happening, this step number three is basically going to provide the grounded context for this agent so that it understands that what kind of expense limitations and expense policy informations which are available in this document. Based on that, step number four, the agent is going to use a language model to interpret the prompt and generate a response. Remember, this is a time is going to use large language models or small language models combination with your expense policy document. It's both are going to be combined in this. And based on that, it's going to give you response. When it is giving you the response, fifth and the final one, based on the response, the agent can use its available tool. Remember, when agent is giving you the response, the job is not done at that point. After giving the response also, maybe the agent can use the available tools to submit a claim to be processed and generate a check payment. So maybe there are some automated tasks which are going to be taken care by agent, and it's going to submit that claim, is maybe going to give an acknowledgement to the user that your claim is submitted successfully, and maybe based on that is going to generate and check payment also for that. Now all this task is something which is based on the use case and the scenario. I'm just giving you one single scenario here, and if you are interested in this, in next 2 days you are going to get a step-by-step lab exercise of this particular thing. So we are going to see that thing in the coming 2 days. So let's see that thing. But before we develop any agent, before we create any agent, one obvious question which we have to keep in mind is, do we have multiple options to develop agents? Yes. As you can see the slide, actually if I ask you, there are more than 30 plus different ways are there to develop agents. But then if you are a working professional, working in an organization which is reputed, you're working for customers, you're working for big tech giants, if you're dealing with this kind of people or if you're working for this kind of organization, obviously while choosing an agent development platform or SDK or maybe the toolkit, you are going to be very wise to choose that, because we cannot randomly pick any particular tool which can just develop an agent, and because of easiness if you're going with that, well, that's going to be the wrong decision. You have to choose that kind of an SDK development which is stable, which is accurate, and most important, it should be enterprise ready from a security point of view. And that's the reason I have certain options here which are perfect for enterprises. We have multiple options here. First, you can use Azure AI Foundry Agent Service. This is one service which I'm going to show you in my next video. And using the service, you will be able to develop, manage Azure AI agents. And then it's actually based on OpenAI Assistant API. So basically, that's the second thing which you can use. OpenAI Assistant API mostly use OpenAI models, your GPT models or the latest Sora model. You can also integrate with that. Image generation, video generation, or maybe natural language text generation can all be possible with this kind of an API assistant. You can use any one of them to develop your agents, or the better one is we have something called semantic kernel. And if you ask me what is semantic kernel, then I'm going to say that semantic kernel is a lightweight open source development kit for building AI agents. If you want to develop multi-agent kind of application, you want to orchestrate those multiple agents in such a way that it should execute step-by-step plan-based executions, then semantic kernel is one of the best enterprise-ready SDK available for you. Also, this is also supporting OpenAI Assistant and Azure AI Agents as well as native chat completion. So no matter which kind of agent SDKs you have used in past, semantic kernel is capable to integrate with all of them. Then next we have something which is called Autogen. Autogen is actually something which is open source framework for rapid agent development. This was actually part of Microsoft Research, and this is still available in the Microsoft Research kind of thing only. If you are interested in any one of these topics, guys, you can just put down this thing in the comment section of this video, and we will create a dedicated separate video on this. But because I do not want this video to be very lengthy, I'm not going with in-depth with semantic kernel and Autogen. But if you're interested, just put this thing in the comment and we will create a separate in-depth videos on that. Last but not the least, if you see in the below section, we have 3 different tools. We have something which is called Copilot Studio. I think in one of my videos in YouTube, I have shared a Copilot Studio based agent development. And on my website, which is skilltech.club, we have a separate dedicated course on how to develop agents with Copilot Studio. If you are no code kind of a person, you're not a developer, you just want to develop agents without writing code, well, then Copilot Studio is a low code, no code kind of a development environment where you can extend Copilot as well as you can develop your own Copilot like agents with that. Same way, suppose if your goal is I want to integrate my agents with Microsoft 365 SDK or Microsoft 365 apps kind of thing, you can create self-hosted agents for various channels associated with that, and then maybe you can share it with Slack or maybe Messenger or something like that. That's something which we are not going to focus very much on the YouTube channel, but yes, we are going to have a courses available on this on our website, so you can check out that thing. And then finally, we have something called Agent Builder. The Agent Builder is basically a declarative tool for business users to author basic agents in Microsoft Copilot Chat and other Copilot based interface. Now, again, this is also something which is low code and no code kind of a tool. So if you are not a developer, then these are the things which are for you. But if you are a pro developer working in enterprises, then the above 4 options are the one which will be the right choice for you. Now remember, today we are just focusing on options for agent development. From tomorrow onwards, we are going to see why are these AI agents are useful, and then we are going to develop AI agents and we are going to design them whenever we want to associate with a multi-agent kind of system. I hope you like this video. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.